This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
A little too loud. Hey, everybody, it is the After Party Live on this Waterfall Wednesday. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Please click the like button. And if you haven't, please subscribe as well. Thank you very much for that. Trying to collect those subscribers. Finn says, Miss Clicky, aloha, aloha, and shalom. Thank you for being here. Hello to you, Sandy. It is something I've heard over and over again, that people are looking for a way to feel better. It's been a week, and every day there's something else that comes out. We just saw the Gates announcement about Attorney General that makes you more disillusioned or makes you more fearful. I've seen from people they're scared about being deported, even though they're legal citizens, that maybe they have a last name that they think might be suspect to the new incoming folks in power. I know we don't talk politics on the show, but what we do is we lift up. And I was thinking, after I saw something last night online, how can I lighten your load? How can I be some light for you in this time of darkness? And I'm reminded of something that I experienced in high school in a drama class at Petaluma High. I had this drama teacher. Her name was Miss Spees. And as part of a activity to get us to kind of calm down and refocus and center and focus on the play and what was at hand, she had everyone lay down on the floor of the gym, which, now thinking about it, might not have been a place I wanted to lay down. In high school, you take all kinds of crazy chances. But she had us lay down, turn down the lights, and closed our eyes. This is going to be probably the dorkiest, most California hippie thing that I've ever done on air. But maybe desperate times call for desperate measures. So I hope that you won't turn away and bear with me, because my husband, who is the least hippy dippy guy I know, has found this exercise helpful. He's a guy that has trouble sleeping sometimes. He has a lot of burdens. He worries about our financial situation, worries about the situation at work, worries about the world economy. He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, and his mind doesn't turn off at night. And so he has a really hard time falling asleep. Totally the opposite of me. I could sleep anywhere at any time. Boom, I'm asleep like that. But he doesn't have that. And a lot of people are like that, where their minds just doesn't click off. So I've done this exercise with him before, and I think he may have found it helpful. And I hope that even if you don't find it helpful today, that maybe tonight, when you're trying to drift off to sleep and the weight of the world is on your shoulders, that maybe this will be helpful. And maybe it will make you feel lighter, if only for today. If only for tonight. Okay? But you have to do this with me. This is an interactive exercise. So I kind of need you to participate in this with me. So focus in. You can either close your eyes or focus in on the picture on the screen right now. All right? And here's what Miss Spees did with the drama class. She said, imagine that you are in a field of wavy grass, and the grass is blowing in the wind. And in the distance, you see a hot air balloon sitting in the field. You're walking through the grass, blowing in the wind, the warm sun shining on your face. And you can see someone in front of the hot air balloon. They're doing something, but you can't quite tell what it is. You get a little closer and you realize they're putting things in the basket of this hot air balloon. And you realize they're putting in problems. And they're asking you to put in your problems. Everything will fit in this basket. It's like Mary Poppins' purse. Worried about your home mortgage? Put the whole house in. Worried about the problems of your kids? The kids go in the basket. Worried about your bills? The bills, all the bills go in the basket. You just threw the PG&E bill in there, throwing the MasterCard bill in there, throwing all the bills in the basket. Worried about your job? Pick up the whole company, dump it right in the basket. Think about your problems. Can you visualize yourself throwing your problems in the basket? Do it. Throw them all in the basket, one by one. Every single problem, no matter how big, no matter how small, goes in the basket. The car insurance goes in there. The homeowner's insurance goes in there. The threats to the environment go in there. I'm talking every problem you've got, everything that weighs on your mind. Dump Trump in the basket. In he goes. Vance in the basket. Gates goes in the they're all in the basket. Everybody. All of the ills that weigh on your mind. And then you can see that the person standing by the basket is you. As you continue to put all of your problems in the basket. And then you pick up an axe and you chop the rope holding the hot air balloon to the ground. And it floats away with all of your problems inside. And you know that it has to come back down eventually. But for right now, all of your problems just floated away. And then she turned the lights back on, and there we were. And it worked. It really, really worked. So if it works for you, visualizing yourself chopping that rope and sending all those problems straight up and away from you for the time being, then maybe that's the light. I was reminded of that story, of that exercise, when I saw this story last night on Facebook. And here's what they wrote. The person wrote this. The person's name would be Elizabeth Gilbert. Some years ago, I was struck on a crosstown bus in New York City during rush hour. Traffic barely moving, the bus filled with cold, tired people, deeply irritated with one another and with the world itself. Two men barked at each other about a shove that might or might not have been intentional. A pregnant woman got on, no one offered her a seat. Rage was in the air, no mercy would be found here, she writes. But as the bus approached 7th Avenue, the driver got on the intercom. Folks, he said, I know you've had a rough day and you're frustrated. I can't do anything about the weather or the traffic, but here is what I can do. As each one of you gets off the bus, I'll reach out my hand to you, and as you walk by, drop your troubles into the palm of my hand. Don't take your problems home to your families tonight. Just leave them with me. My route goes right by the Hudson River, and when I drive by there later, I'll open the window and I'll throw your troubles right in the water. And it was, she says, if a spell had lifted. Everyone burst out laughing. Faces gleamed with surprised delight. People who'd been pretending for the past hour not to notice each other's existence were suddenly grinning at each other. Like, is this guy serious? And he was. At the next stop, as promised, the driver reached out his hand, palm up, and waited. And one by one, all exiting commuters placed their hand just above his and mimed the gesture of dropping something into his palm. Some people laughed as they did it, some teared up, but everyone did it. And the driver repeated the same lovely ritual at the next stop too, and the next, all the way to the river. And Elizabeth writes, we live in a hard world, my friend. Sometimes it's extra difficult to be a human being. Sometimes you have a bad day. Sometimes you have a bad day that lasts for several years. You struggle and fail. You lose jobs, money, friends, faith, love. You witness horrible events unfolding in the news. You become fearful and withdrawn. There are times when everything seems cloaked in darkness and you long for the light, but you don't know where to find it. But what if you are the light? What if you are the very agent of illumination that a dark situation begs for? Because that is what this bus driver, she says, taught me, that anyone can be the light at any moment. This guy wasn't some big power player, not a spiritual leader, one of society's most invisible workers, but he possessed real power and he used it beautifully for our benefit. So when life feels especially grim, or when I feel particularly powerless in the face of the world's troubles, I think of this man and I ask myself, what can I do right now to be the light? And of course, we can't end all the wars or solve the global warming or transform angry people into different creatures. Can't control traffic. But she says, I do have some influence on everyone that I brush up against, even if we never speak or learn each other's name. So no matter who you are, or where you are, or how mundane or tough your situation may seem, I believe you can illuminate your world. I believe this is the only way the world will ever be illuminated, one bright act of grace at a time, all the way to the river. That's from Elizabeth Gilbert. So posted on Facebook. And so every day after this show, I too drive over a waterway. I leave here and I go pick up kids at school and I pass right over the Petaluma River on a drawbridge. And I'm opening my purse so that you can throw all of your troubles in, just one after another. Package them up and throw them in, all of them. And when I pass over the river, I'll dump them right in. Petaluma River is kind of brown and murky, so we won't see them for a while. You dumping them in? Do it right now. Even if you think it's dorky, throw them at the screen. They'll land. Oh, that was a heavy one. They'll land right in here. It'll be okay. And that's good. Did you get them all? I think you missed one. Throw another one in. What's in here? Wallet, old Tic Tacs, and your problems. There you go. I know it's weird. I know it's hippy dippy, but if your problems are in my purse and not on your shoulders for a little while, it's worth it to me. I'm not even going to the chat because I don't want to see how much you're laughing at me right now, but I am throwing your problems in the river. I think maybe it might offer you some peace. And I think we need some peace right now at this time. We talk about emus, that'll offer us some peace as well, right? These emus have been running free for a while, like a long while. 3 months after they escaped in South Carolina, one of them is still on the run. Residents in South Carolina reported sightings of this emu in Horry County. The owner came forward with this revelation. There are actually 2 of them, and they've been on the loose since June. The locals there reported seeing sightings of this emu wandering loose this week. Sam Morris took to social media to claim ownership. For everyone that keeps seeing an emu, he said, yeah, it's mine. There are 2 of them that are out there. They got loose 3 months ago. They are feral, he said, and not trained like the ones we have at the house. Local law enforcement has already been to my house, he wrote. We are trying to get a tranquilizer approved so we can bring them home. They're trying to find these birds, but they're still just on the loose in South Carolina. So if you're there and you see an emu, well, you know, that's the way it is. These people in Australia, yesterday we talked about finding pythons in the toilet. Well, today it would appear that these people found a koala in their bedroom, just hanging out, just lounging, you know, as koalas are wont to do. I don't think they usually go into your bedroom, but in this case, that's exactly what they did. And I have some video. So here it is, this little koala bear. It's kind of a messy bedroom. Ooh, can you guys see that? I don't know if you can see it. My apologies. I think I have the wrong thing. Let me try it again. I gotta see it. It is a little bit messy bedroom, which is embarrassing, but it's not my bedroom, so that's all right. All right, here it is. I think we can see it. So there's this koala bear. He's at the nightstand now, just hanging out. doing his thing, you know. Yeah. Climbing up on the nightstand, if you can see that. It's a Facebook video, so it's kind of an odd angle. But there's this koala bear just hanging out in their bedroom. That's quite a sight. That's something you don't see every day. They arrived at their home in Australia after midnight and they found this koala just chilling. They posted this video to Facebook showing maybe it was the koala that made the mess. I blame the koala. The video captioned only in Australia. It shows the koala exploring the bedroom. The woman of the house speaks English and also Portuguese, and she forgot English, started shouting in Portuguese the minute she saw the koala bear in her bedroom. She thought, "Oh my God, there's a koala in my bedroom." I was like, "Lady, what are you doing? Why are you screaming?" She called for her husband to help while trying to contain this koala. They tried to hold him with some clothes and he grabbed the clothes. Then they had to call for the koala rescue. She said, "I forgot how to speak English and I started to speak Spanish." The guy said, "I don't speak Spanish. You have to talk to me in English." Eventually, the koala was coaxed out of the house and proceeded to climb a tree in their yard. But they say they think he's part of the family now. So there you go. A cute koala story. I mean, unless it's your bedroom, in which case, not so cute at all. No. We talk about this sweet story. This one is about love letters from World War II, and they were found in a thrift store. I think a Goodwill is where they were found. And now the people that work at the thrift store are trying to find information about who these people that were the focus of the love letters are and how maybe to get these love letters back to their family. Let's watch.
This isn't such a bad place, and they treat you swell. And if there was any loving from you, I can definitely take it. Ha. Love always, Chester.
The Salvation Army Family Store's manager, Tina Iffert, and local journalist Megan Duncan have been getting to know the late Chester McMean, a World War II soldier, vicariously through a collection of letters he sent to his wife during his time in the Philippines.
This was an amazing find.
The first letter was dated on September 11th of 1944, and the final letter on November 27th of 1945.
That one's kind of neat. Found the same.
They were addressed to McMean's wife, Alma Bernice Magdalene.
It will seem a lot more like Christmas, as a tree always adds to the atmosphere.
Iffert says she found the letters months ago, buried away in the donation pile, and not a trace as to who left them there.
And there's a lot of history, so I wanted to find who they belong to.
The Salvation Army handed the letters over to Duncan, who has been searching for the family members ever since.
In her voice.
Duncan says McMean's letters portray a heartwarming love story, personality quirks and all.
From the very beginning, she was looking for a sewing machine. So throughout the whole thing, he was like, "Honey, you will find that sewing machine." But so I just always crack up because she spent the whole war looking for this perfect sewing machine. But that said, she was amazing because she also worked and she was running things at home.
Duncan says these also carry significant historical value.
He was talking about rations in the States. He was talking about cars.
So what happened when Chester returned home? Duncan says the couple did end up having that happily ever after.
He talked about how, when I get back, we're going to open a business. We're going to do these things. And then when you look into their lives and you look at their obituaries and you look at the pictures, all of that came true.
Yeah, a little history, a mystery of history that they had to uncover. It was a sweet story. Debbie with a super sticker, a super chat, a $10 super chat. Thank you, Kim, for reaching out and sharing a story about people needing a bit of comfort and hope. Everyone needs hope. Yeah, I know it was a little hippy dippy of me, but I think we're at a moment where we could use some hope. Huge thank you, Debbie, for the $10 super chat. Also want to thank Wes, who came in with a $5 super chat today via PayPal, contributing to the show in that way. And if that's something that you're interested in doing, helping crowdfund the show, please find the PayPal information in the show description and in the About tab of the After Party Live here on YouTube. Heather says, I not fact checking it. Oh, I don't know what you're searching for. That's fantastic. BW Rock says, what a treasure they found. Yeah. I think that is too. Always interesting to do that. Great. Now I have that song in my head. The Vegemite sandwich. Yeah. Sweet story. Absolutely. Thank you again from Ricky. And I'm an old closet hippie from Gordon. Hey, you know what? I can get away with it because we're from California, right? What about toys? Let's talk about toys. Holidays are coming up. We have the winners, the inductees into the Toy Hall of Fame for 2024. My Little Pony, Transformers, Phase 10, which I've never heard of. The inductees this year, part of the Strong National Museum of Play. They announced the inductees. They chose them from a list of finalists that also included Apples to Apples, Balloons, Choose Your Own Adventure books, Hess Toy Trucks, the Pokemon trading card game, Remote Controlled Vehicles, Sequence, the game, the Stick Horse, and the Trampoline. But these are the winners: My Little Pony, Transformers, and Phase 10. There you go. The folks at the National Toy Museum say these are 3 very deserving toys that showcase the wide range of how people play. For My Little Pony in particular, this year is extra validating. This toy was a finalist 7 times before finally crossing the finish line. So finally, My Little Pony gets into the National Toy List, National Toy Hall of Fame. There you go. You would have thought that Transformers would have been in for a while now. I have to check out Phase 10. Never heard of it. There is a butter recall. And when I tell you why, you might be going, really, Kim? Yeah. Costco is recalling this butter, 80,000 pounds of it, because of a possible mislabeling. It's 2 types of its store brand butter. So that's Kirkland, right? Kirkland's signature unsalted sweet cream butter and Kirkland's signature salted sweet cream butter. The labels might not have said that the butter contains milk. I mean, what? If you don't know there's dairy in butter, I think we have a bigger problem. This butter, these 80,000 pounds of butter that didn't say that it contains milk, were distributed to Costco locations throughout Texas. So they've now been recalled. The Food and Drug Administration says the 16-ounce packages of the salted sweet cream butter contain 4-ounce sticks of butter. They give the UPC code. The packages of butter list cream among the contents, but may be missing the contains milk statement on their ingredients label. And milk is an allergen that can cause temporary or medically irreversible adverse health consequences to those who are allergic to it. So they have to say it contains milk, thus they recall all the butter. I mean, does it not seem like just a given? I guess rules are rules, right? There you go. Lotto of the day. Sometimes it's just some loose cash, loose change rolling around the car. This Maryland man found some loose cash in his back pocket, and he ended up using it to buy a lottery ticket. Happened in Prince George County, Maryland. This man was about to leave the Foods Inconvenience store in Waldorf, Maryland, when he realized he had some loose cash in his back pocket. Can't keep it there, gotta spend it. Stuck my hand in my pocket, he said, and there was $4. I'd already bought my tickets for the week, but because I was right there at the store, I figured, get a couple more. So we bought a pair of 7-11-21 Fast Play tickets for $2 each. The first ticket, jackpot, $45,166. The second ticket, $1,500. There you go. The reset jackpot gave the man the suspicion that he soon confirmed he had won the $45,000 prize. He said, I told myself the jackpots were different because my first ticket had won, and the lower jackpot listed on the second ticket meant it had dropped back down to the base amount. That had to be it, he said. And when he scanned the ticket, he asked the store clerk to double check it. He said, when I saw the guy's face light up, I knew it was real. His prize money he intends to go toward paying off debts and sharing some of that cash with his family. All because of $4 found in the pocket. You know, here's something I do, and I always feel so apologetic when I do it. But if my kids go to someone's house, used to call it a play date, but now that they're a little older, that's kind of juvenile. But if they go to another friend's house for a play date or to spend time, I will always ask. And I know a lot of people don't, but I've done too many news stories in my career about kids finding weapons unlocked. I've talked to my kids about guns. I've said, we don't touch them ever. But I always ask, do you have any guns in your house? And if so, are they secure? Because if they do have guns, I want them to think about it and make sure that they are secure. Even if they are, doesn't hurt to ask, right? Some parents are receptive to that, and some parents are not. And it does make the difference as to whether or not I'll let my kids go to your house or not. There's been a study on this now. Apparently, I'm not the only one. They say most parents have not considered the potential risk of an unlocked, poorly stored firearm in a house their child is visiting. They did this study in Illinois and found that more than 60% of Illinois parents have never asked another parent about an unlocked gun in their home before allowing their child to visit for a play date. I have never been asked either. And again, I ask, but I have never been asked. Most people said they never asked because it never occurred for them to do so. The lead researcher is Dr. Sameh Kamal, an emergency medicine doctor at the Lurie Children's Hospital in Chicago. And she said this: parents need to approach the topic of firearm safety in the homes their child visits in the same way they would ask other parents about supervision during playdates or similar questions related to their child's safety. Nearly 20% of unintentional firearm-related deaths occur at a friend's house. 40% of U.S. households with children have a firearm in the home. Only 44% of those households store firearms locked and unloaded. 44% seems high to me. Does it seem high to you? 44% of those households store firearms locked and unloaded. So parents, they say, need to ask about the presence of firearms in the home and about secure storage methods. These discussions with other parents are crucial for the prevention of children's injury and death from improperly stored firearms. They surveyed 1,000 parents in Illinois for this study. Parents were less likely to ask about firearms if they were female, older than 50, living in rural areas without a college degree, and earning a lower household income. This study published in the journal Pediatrics. I mean, why wouldn't you? I know it's uncomfortable. I always think this. Well, first of all, I'm not letting my child go to your house if I don't know you. And if I know you, I need to feel comfortable enough to ask you this. And again, I always approach it as an apology. I'm so sorry to ask you this. I say, I worked in news for a long time, and I've seen some horrible stories out there, and I'm so sorry to bother you with it, but I just wonder, do you guys have a gun in your house? And if so, is it in a safe? Is it in a secure place? And I've only had one person ever be offended that I would even ask. Some people, I know that one of the parents works in law enforcement. I would assume they keep their guns safely, but I've been sent to stories where an officer doesn't, and it's ended in the death of a child. Happened in Watsonville. So the most precious things to me in my life are my children. Why would I ever take a risk? That's how I approach it. And if you're offended, then I didn't want my kid at your house anyway. I know, I'm real popular with the kids, right? I thought that was interesting. Finally, someone talking about it. because I haven't heard people talk about it before. I thought I was the only one asking. I guess not. Doctors agree. You should ask. Ah, wine. If we didn't get all of our problems in the purse is still open, by the way, for your problems, if you come up with another one. If we didn't throw the problems in the purse, apparently we're drinking our problems away. There's a study that shows US alcohol consumption rose during the pandemic and in the years after as well. That even as the pandemic and all the stresses of that kind of subsided a bit, the dependence on booze did not. 2 years into the pandemic, the percentage of Americans who drank alcohol, which had already spiked between 2018 and 2020, inched even further up in 2021 and 2022. More folks reported heavy or binge drinking. This according to findings published this week in the Annals of Internal Medicine. The results provide national data to draw further attention to the potential alcohol-related public health effects that many remain from the pandemic. Hey, I thought we were poor. I thought we couldn't afford things at the grocery store. Apparently, we can still afford the booze, right? The researchers say potential causes of this sustained increase include the normalization and adaptation to increased drinking due to stress from the pandemic and disrupted access to medical services as well. And we know alcohol can be addictive to some people, and that addiction doesn't go away even if the initial trigger that started it has gone away. That according to a hepatologist at USC. Early in the pandemic, this doctor writes, we're seeing an enormous surge of people coming into the clinic and hospital with alcohol-related problems. People assumed it was caused by acute stress, like what we saw after 9/11 and Hurricane Katrina. And typically, he said, it goes back to normal after these stressful events are over. But after the pandemic, that is not what they're seeing. No. So they did a survey of almost 27,000 people over the age of 18, and they were asked about their drinking habits in the last year. The spikes in drinking were seen in both genders, at every age, in every racial and ethnic group. Overall, 69% of Americans said they'd consumed alcohol at some level in the past year, up from 69% in 2020 and 66% in 2018. So it was 69.3% this year, 69.03% in 2020, and 66.34% in 2018. The number of Americans who reported heavy drinking increased to nearly 6.3% in 2022, and that was up from 6.13% in 2020 and 5.1% in 2018. They define heavy drinking for men is consuming at least 5 drinks in a day or at least 15 drinks in a week. For women, 4 drinks a day or at least 8 per week. Do we have a problem? It seems women are now binge drinking more than men, according to this study. Among women of all ages, 6.45% said they drunk heavily, exceeding the rate among men, 6.1%. More women than men reported binge drinking in 2018 as well. White Americans were the most likely to be heavy drinkers among racial and ethnic groups. 7.3% reporting heavy drinking among the white folks. That's up from 5.7% in 2018. And the doctors think the stress of the pandemic may have been particularly acute for women. The pandemic was a really stressful event, according to doctors. People were at home, there was no childcare, and one of the acceptable coping mechanisms is drinking alcohol to deal with stress, anxiety, and depression. At the same time, mental health care was hard to find during the pandemic as well. So, much of the damage due to drinking takes years to surface, the toll it can take on your body. They say it's the silent disease because it rears its head later in terms of chronic disease. So apparently we started drinking during the pandemic and we haven't stopped. Gonna keep on going. We talked earlier about fatbergs. Remember that? I know, maybe you don't want to think about fatbergs washing up on beaches. Chunks of chemicals and human feces and soap scum that clog our sewers. Well, then I found this story. There is a new way to keep this from happening. The scientists in this case are experimenting with a zinc coating in sewers that could help the buildup of fat, oil, and grease clumps in sewer pipes. Because we know fatbergs are disgusting and they build up below cities and towns around the world. They then mix with calcium in the water in sewer systems, and they form these big old blockages that solidify inside of pipes and concrete sewers. But the folks, the engineers at the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology in Australia, have invented this protective coating for concrete pipes that could help reduce the number of fatbergs that form in sewers. And they've published their findings in the journal Chemical Engineering. The fatbergs are responsible for half of all sewer blockages in the US, 40% in Australia. Fixing them costs us about $25 billion in the United States a year, $100 million in Australia. So here's what the engineers are saying. They've got this new zinc-enhanced polyurethane coating that could be a solution because it reduces the release of calcium from concrete by up to 80% compared with uncoated concrete. And they tested it, and they say it works. So, can we keep the fatbergs from building up? It's possible. And how did they do it? Biomimicry. They drew inspiration from the regenerative capabilities observed in nature, including the human skin's ability to heal itself. That's what they did. The coating on the human skin, coating the inside of the pipes. Look at that. Fatbergs no more. This is a study that I saw before we get to Waterfall Wednesday. This one is about spinning pebbles. There's one of them. They think, scientists, that these spinning pebbles could be the reason that humans came up with the wheel. 6,000 years before the Bronze Age cartwheel was invented, a group of textile makers in the Middle East may have designed the world's first rotational tool involving a wheel and an axle. This, according to this study, they said after testing out replicas of ancient devices, the authors of this new study suggest they were functional spindle whorls that could be used to spin fibers into yarn and may have paved the way for the eventual use of wheels for transport. And it all has to do with these spinning pebbles. Archaeologists since 1972 have uncovered 113 of these punctured spinning pebbles at this settlement. It's a Natufian settlement, Nahal Ain Gav, in modern-day Israel. They're perforated limestone pebbles that date back to 12,000 years ago. The most beautiful ones, they say, if you give them to later experts, they would automatically say, oh, that's a spindle whorl. The spindle whorls are round, weighted objects that attach to a spindle stick, enabling it to spin faster than one would be able to achieve manually. And that facilitated the process of spinning fibers into yarn. But the fact that the pebbles are not uniformly round or perfect in their proportions raised questions as to whether that was truly their purpose. They say the fact this technology is so early made them look into each and every characteristic and try to explore if it's really functional. And the answer they came up with is yes. So they created 3D models of perforated stones, enabling them to examine their physical properties in detail, considering everything they do, whatever, all of their functions, right? Their weight, their size, everything. And it seems the perforated pebbles are best suited to have functioned as spindle whorls. They conclude these items were spindle whorls to spin fibers. In a cumulative evolutionary trend, they manifest early phases of the development of rotational technologies by laying the mechanical principle of the wheel and the axle. But that technology didn't take hold right away. It's not like we said, oh, look at that. There's a pebble and we can spin it around and make things easier. We could, I don't know, carry building material by wheel. We didn't do that right away. It would take millennia for us to figure it out. The concept was readopted during the invention of the pottery wheel and the cart wheel. Not an innovation trend that we see from that point onwards, they said. They went back to something else. They said they don't see the same tool for another 4,000 years when it comes back. Interestingly, it comes back at a site that's really close by. The next evidence of this spindle whorl is about 4,000 years later, 6 miles away. And it's only after that reemergence that the principle of a rotational axle began to spread and became incorporated into more technologies. The study, by the way, about the spinning pebbles is published in the journal PLOS One. So that's how we came up with the wheel technology. Look at that. All right, before we get to Waterfall Wednesday, I do want to say thank you to Luis. As far as McAllisters go, you are my favorite, he writes. I don't know, don't downplay Lucy. She's pretty strong. Thank you for providing the intermission at the current circus. Mahalo, my friend. Aw, mahalo to you too. Aloha, Luis. Thank you for the $5. Thank you for the always uplifting comments that you provide. Thank you also to Debbie for the super chat as well and for the nice message. I appreciate it. Are you guys ready to take another little load off the mind? Because it is Waterfall Wednesday. Oh yeah. And I have 2 waterfalls for you this time around. One of them I think is absolutely gorgeous. This is a waterfall. Let me go to my pictures. That is located, there it is, Ruby Falls. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? This is Ruby Falls. It's in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Well, it's deep inside Lookout Mountain near Chattanooga, Tennessee. Ruby Falls is a series of cascading underground waterfalls. There's a chemist and a cave lover. His name is Leo Lambert, and he found Ruby Falls by accident, and he named them after his wife, Ruby. According to the Chattanooga Tourism Board, the site offers the tallest and the deepest underground waterfall that is open to the public. Ruby Falls. You got to go underground to see it. Lookout Mountain in Tennessee. Here's another one I found. This one is called Erawan Falls in Thailand. Similar to some that we've seen before. I don't think we've covered this exact waterfall. It's got 7 tiers of flowing water making up Erawan Falls. It is considered to be one of the most beautiful waterfalls in the world. It is in Thailand. The water emerald green, you can see here, collecting in rock ponds. The falls get their name from a 3-headed white elephant in Hindu mythology, which the top tier is said to resemble. Erawan Falls. Can you imagine how that sounds? I wish I had the audio of the waterfall. For those of you listening on podcast, it's surrounded by beautiful, lush greenery, and it's one pool falling into another, into many others, before it cascades down into a blue, kind of emerald blue-green pool. Just beautiful. Yeah. So that's Erewhon Falls in Thailand. We had Ruby Falls in Tennessee. This one, an underground cave, underground waterfall rather. That kind of works for hide in your cave Monday and Waterfall Wednesday. So I'll take it. Very nice. And that is Waterfall Wednesday. And there we go. And thus we come to the end of the After Party Live. Again, huge thank you to Debbie for that super chat. Huge thank you to Luis for that super chat. Huge thank you to Wes for the $5 that he throws down every day. You guys crowdfund this show and keep it going, and I'm just really so grateful. I've got all your problems in my purse. I'll open it up one more time for any other problems that you want to throw in. My raggedy old 10-year-old purse. It's trusty though. It really is. You ready for me to zip it up? Okay, here it comes. I don't even have the zipper pull anymore. Here it is. Okay, I'm taking it and I'm dumping it into the Petaluma River. All of it. Tic Tacs and all. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the Mark Thompson Show. We have tomorrow, David Katz will be on the show. So we'll talk to him about the latest appointment for the Attorney General. We'll talk to him about all things legal. David Katz, former federal prosecutor, now defense attorney in the Los Angeles area. Again, that is the Mark Thompson Show at 11 here on YouTube, followed by Trivia Thursday, and then the Nikki Maduro Show. Speaking of booze and drinking, cocktails, mocktails, and politics, that is 5 o'clock, the Nikki Maduro Show tomorrow here on YouTube. I do want to thank also, I just saw another one pop on through, Peter Newton with $10. Thanks for taking me back home to Chattanooga. Dump your purse in Ruby Falls. Well, Petaluma River is a little bit closer. So your problems are going into the Petaluma River today, but if I could dump them into Ruby Falls, I think I would as well. Peter Newton, thank you for the contribution and thank you for the chat. I appreciate that. All right, you guys, make it a great rest of your Wednesday. I hope that I've lightened your load. And you can keep throwing problems in for at least the next, I'm going to say 10 minutes or so until I get out the door and head on out for pickup. Make it a good one. And I'll see you back here tomorrow on YouTube. Bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
I think I got a lot of Trumps in there. It's a Trump heavy purse today. It's pretty heavy cameo. It works really well at night. Really well. All right, I'll do it.